Greetings and konnichiwa, and welcome to the Onyx Tavern. I'm your host, Rick the Barkeep, bringing you podcast 115 here at the Tavern, presented by Hirotaku.com. Now, within the last couple of weeks, I've actually obtained the Zyuranger DVD set. And, you know, for the most part, I've actually enjoyed it. I've gotten through about the first 10 episodes so far. I'm not doing any particular review on them or anything. I'm just watching them for pure enjoyment. And the fact that I'm comparing it to Mighty Morphin, which it's just kind of bizarre now that you see the source footage and compared to what you've known as a child. It's just a really weird experience to it. But I've had one problem with the DVD set that is nothing against what's there, it's more of what's not there. And that is a lack of any special features, bonus material, or specifically behind-the-scenes production information. Now, the actual DVD does come with a recording from one of the Power Morphicon panels in which they did go ahead and talk to the original actors from Zyuranger. Now, I'm not as interested in that. As I've stated before, I don't go to conventions, and I'm not particularly interested in what happens at conventions, let alone somebody recording a conversation. Unless it's of significant value, I'm not really into it. Nevertheless, the DVD set is actually missing what I think is a lot of quintessential and important elements to any time that you're basically putting a television series in a time capsule. And that is all the behind-the-scenes production information, audio commentary, things like that. I mean, this does not have anything, it has no audio commentary whatsoever. It has no behind-the-scenes, it has no history of Zyuranger production. There's nothing from the American creators where they adapted it, talking about what they found interesting in Zyuranger, nothing from Hans Saban. I mean, there is nothing in here whatsoever. All it is just the episodes, the translations, and again, the little Power Morphicon panel. And it got me to thinking about Power Rangers and Super Sentai in general, in the fact that there is really little in behind-the-scenes production information that is readily available to the public in comparison to other television shows. And what do I mean? Well, as always, let's go bring this up to my other favorite television science fiction franchise, which is Star Trek. Now, right now, I'm going to go ahead and dare you guys to do this. Go to Memory Alpha. That is the wiki for Star Trek. Look up any episode from the animated series to Next Gen, Enterprise, Deep Space Nine, whatever. And you will find maybe at least a page of production information, behind the scenes, and background information on any given episode. Even if it was the worst episode in the series history, there is a long page of behind-the-scenes information talking about how they designed what particular makeup, how they designed what particular ship, the casting, who was originally in the role, and who they eventually got, how they had to change some dialogue, how the director felt they needed to do this, how the writer intended this, but this was cut out, the deleted scenes, all this other stuff just from singular episodes. And then when you get, let's talk about the movies. Look at Star Trek V. That's considered to be the worst Star Trek movie of all time. I don't think so. I actually like Star Trek V. I think it's a decent film. But you have audio commentary from Shatner. You have producer commentary. You have behind the scenes. You have the making of Star Trek V. You have a little featurette about how they convinced Yosemite to let them in and actually film in the parking lot for that particular film. The point I'm getting at is if for just Star Trek, you can look up just about any type of information you want and know why they made certain decisions, why this story went in this direction, what writer wrote this, what writer did that. All that information is readily available. But if I asked you to go into the archives and somebody tell me, in the episode Happy Birthday Zach from Mighty Morphin, why did they write the episode about Zach? Why wasn't Happy Birthday Trini, Happy Birthday Billy, Happy Birthday Jason, Happy Birthday Kimberly, Happy Birthday Bulk and Skull? Why was that episode specifically focused on Zach? Why did you want to take a story about everybody forgetting Zach's birthday only to have a surprise party? Why is that story there? Or, as we have in the Alien Ranger saga, why did you send Catherine to Australia only to meet was supposedly an older version and mirror version of herself? What was the story behind that? Why did you guys want to go ahead and do that? Or why is it that in Zeo you decide, instead of making Prince Sprocket like in the O-Ranger footage, rebuilt into Gasket, you made them two separate characters? It's stuff like that that I want to go ahead and know. But if you guys looked at it right now, try to look up online, why are Gasket and Sprocket two different characters in Zeo? Why was it Happy Birthday Zach? Why did it focus on Zach? You're not going to find an answer. You have to find the original writer, director, whatever and stuff. And trust me, after the whole thing with Kevin Rubio trying to actually locate this guy to actually get an interview from him, which was a nightmare, I didn't get as much information as I would have hoped on it. And of course, what information I got, well, it's there, and it's out there from the primary source. So, at very least, you know the production information on He Ain't Heavy Metal, He's My Brother, because you can go on Ranger Wiki right now, and I probably should do that, and put in, it was supposed to compete with Glee. Yes, so, I mean, there's information there. But again, if I want to look at an episode from 20 years ago, I can't find it. But a Star Trek original series episode from 40 years ago, oh, you got tons of information on any episode. I mean, you can look at Spock's brain, and I guarantee you there's a lot of stuff to go ahead and look up. And why is that? Why is there a lack of information from Power Rangers? Why is it that on the Zoo Ranger DVD, we don't have anything at all? Why is it that on the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie releases and Turbo Power Rangers movie, there's no audio commentary? There's no behind-the-scenes featurette. I remember summer of '95, right before the premiere of Life with Louie, they had behind-the-scenes on the making of the film. And why is it when we do get behind-the-scenes production information, it's just about the sets and the costumes and the monsters? I remember when they did the Power Rangers Operation Overdrive, I think it was the day or week before, they had the actor who played Mac go to the prop shop and the costume shop and show him all this cool stuff of the series. But he never went to the writer's room. He never went and spoke to the directors and say, hey, why'd you make this particular choice? I mean, I would like to know how they went from Power Rangers Drive Force to Operation Overdrive. How did that transition take place? You know, the guy doing the Cal explosions. Where is the discussion from Bruce Callis saying this is why we decided to go ahead and do that? I'm sure there are some people who are doing like micro interviews out there like I did with Rubio, but nobody's publishing my Rubio thing to the masses. You know, nobody's looking at that kind of stuff saying, oh, here's the primary source. Nobody's citing or quoting it. Why isn't there a production book out there? A book that says, here was Day of the Dumpster, this was the first draft, this is what we changed, this is what we did. I mean, we've all seen the pilot episode, but nobody's ever sat down and said, hey, this is what we had to change from here to here to here. This is why Audrey DuBois, you know, left. This is why we put Trini in there. And actually, I do want to bring this information up as well. Anybody that follows David Yost on Facebook and Twitter knows that he found his original casting call for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And it's a short little thing, but it does open up a few questions. And I'm just going to give you one, you know, from my favorite Ranger, Trini, who it was described attractive, athletic female teen, and eternal pessimist. Now, two things on this. One, why did it take over 20 years for this to get published on the internet? Why did David Yost have to dig it up from his stuff? Why did Saban not make this readily available in a book, on a DVD, or available for download on their website? And second of all, if you have this available now, we now have to ask the question, why was Trini originally written as a pessimist and then changed to her final form? What were the steps along the way? I'd like to know. I don't get that. Why is there a lack of information on this stuff? And, you know, let's talk about Sentai as well. You know, the thing is, we are getting some interviews from people nowadays. I mean, we understand why in Ninja they have different Zords now. We understand why in Tokuger they had trains. We understand a few things that they're doing here. But where is the behind-the-scenes information talking about Kaku Ranger? You know, Where's the thing where they said, okay, we decided to make it a wolf because this. We chose these animals from this pool. It almost became this. It almost became that. If there is pre-production information or just stuff from the writers, most of that's probably in Japanese and hasn't been translated. How come people from the Shout Factory or Toei or Saban or anybody isn't getting that information and bringing it on over? Why isn't there enough transparency within the production of the Power Rangers and Super Sentai? I mean, why is it that we as the fans have to go out and get these interviews? Why did I have to seek out Kevin Rubio to find out information about this episode? Why didn't Saban say, okay, we're going to write a book about the production history, make it available to the fans? Or we're going to interview him and have him explain why we did this, why we made these particular choices? Because again, if I didn't interview him, how long it would have taken for us to realize, oh yeah, they did this because they were trying to compete with Glee? I mean, would anybody have actually written that down anywhere? I mean, I don't know. I mean, Mr. Rubio is certainly open for interviews and stuff, but I got the feeling not many people actually tried to interview him prior to me for this particular episode. But I digress on that point. So the thing is, why do we have a lack of anything? We don't even have a single audio commentary. Why don't we go back and get the original cast and have them do audio commentary for the original Power Rangers movie? I'd love to hear what they have to go ahead and say, you know, about the wearing the new suits or how their characters change for the movies. I mean, again, I'd like to know what's going on and stuff, but there isn't that information out there. I think as fans for a franchise that's been 20 years, over 20 years old at this point, it's going on almost a quarter of a century of Power Rangers we're going to have in a couple of years. I think we deserve the right to know what's been going on with our show. Now, I'm not saying that we have to know, but there's a market out there of people that absolutely want to know what's been happening. I want a book that tells me, oh, so this is why Trini did this in this episode. This is why Carter did this in this episode. Ah, this explains that. I mean, think of this, for example. Think of In the Limelight, where they had, in Lightspeed Rescue, where Dana gets picked up by a talent agent, completely blows off her ranger duties to become a model, and then has to come back. Now, Linkara pointed out in his review that that's a very odd turn to be happening later in the series, particularly right before you start the end arc to that. Okay, fair point, but where's the explanation for that? If I go to the Ranger Wiki right now and I look up the episode, is there information from the writer explaining, oh, we decided to do this because of these reasons? Or the actress, Allison... I can't remember her, but Allison. Has anybody actually approached Allison in an interview before and say, could you explain what was going on in the Limelight? What did the director say to you? What did they say about the script? How did you adjust your character? You know, I mean, I just don't understand this. Why this information is lacking there, because, again, it's great to be a fan of something, but some of us just want to know more. You know, I'm a film major, or I was a film major, and the thing is, I've been trained now to where I watch a scene, I just don't think that's a cool effect. I think of, how did they do that effect? Or, that's a good decision that character made. I think, why did that character make that decision? Now, I know not everybody thinks that way, but for those of us who do think that way, it would be nice to have something to back that up, to say, have an interview with Jason Frank. And Jason Frank's done tons of interviews, but has anybody sat down to Jason Frank and said, hey Jason, in Mighty Morphin Mutants, where they made you, very forgetful in the series, was that an attempt to give you character development to make you more three-dimensional, since you're a very popular character, and criticism of the show says, hey, we got one-dimensional characters here, and thus we tried to do something to change that? Or was it a plot device just to keep the Green Ranger out of certain action sequences because our footage didn't meet it? I'd like to think it's the latter, but I think there's evidence for the former in that particular situation. But nobody's asked Jason David Frank that question. If I had access to Jason Frank, I would certainly ask him that question, but I don't, so I can't. But why doesn't Jason Frank come out with information, you know? Why doesn't Saban go back and, you know, say, hey, we're going to do video bios for the DVD release or something? I know it's Shout Factory, but why didn't Shout Factory do that? Why is it for Zoo Ranger, all Shout Factory did was just do the panel? I mean, all you had to do was get a guy with a video camera and that's it. You got it. They could have done a little bit extra work to give us more. I mean, don't you guys ever wonder why they have so many children in Zoo Ranger? People say it's one of the big criticisms, there are too many children. And yes, our villain hates children, but why did they give her that? After coming off a very heavy drama like Jetman, did they think they needed children to liven it up? You know, nobody's actually interviewed the creators and said that. I've never seen any official reason why they did that. I think what I'm getting to, and I know I'm taking a long time to say nothing. I get that, but it's my show, and that's how I'm going to do it. The point I'm trying to go ahead and get at is that for everything you see on film, whether it's Star Trek, Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, The Godfather, whatever it is, going all the way back to Citizen Kane and Birth of a Nation, you make choices to what you see on the screen. The writer, the director, the producer, the actor, the extras, the editor, everybody makes a decision that influences the final product. And I think if we know why they made those decisions, we could forgive them and we can understand them. I mean, I say RPM is the worst season of all, and I say that the episode In Action is a horrible episode. But if one of the writers if the writer of that episode, if there ever was a writer, came out and said, we did this for these reasons, and they could justify it, then maybe I'd hate it less. You know? Or they say, well, in Go for the Green, we were going to originally do this, but then the producer stepped in and changed this, so it was out of our control. Then I'm like, now it makes more sense. But, as I said, for Go for the Green, you know, when they have a talent show to pick who the best Green Ranger is going to be, it's asinine. And if you don't offer an explanation of it, it's still going to be asinine if you offer an explanation, but then you can at least justify it, whether it's pathetic or not. I just want to see. I just want to see this. I want to see. I mean, don't you guys think that a book on the writing and production history of Power Rangers would sell? Wouldn't that be great? Because then we can go like, oh, this happened. Now I get. Now I understand why they did that, and now I understand why this changed and this happened and all that. I mean, it's a very enlightening experience when you actually look at things like unproduced episodes, scripts that you know, were written and changed dramatically at some point. Actors decide to do one thing and fighting against the director on their motivations and characters and all that. It's stuff like that that I'm really interested in. Like the Phantom Ranger. They said they couldn't introduce the Phantom Ranger because they ran out of a budget. Is that it? Is that the official story? I mean, we hear that. Where's the primary source on that? Can you tell us? Is that official? You know, it's stuff like that I'd like to go ahead and know. And again, I just don't know why they're not giving that to us. Well, why is it, again, we had to wait 23 years for David Yost to find his open casting call and post it on the internet? Shouldn't this have been something that Saban did when they reacquired the franchise and wanted to have all this media blitz? I mean, heck, the Power Rangers Twitter and Facebook account puts useless junk up about how to make smart, healthy foods and stuff like that, or post people's Power Ranger collections on Fridays. Why not post production stills or original scripts and things like that to say, hey, this is what we were going to go ahead and do. This is what Joel looked like before we did the redesign on him and stuff. You know, that's the kind of stuff I want to see. I want to see the evolution step by step on how you make a Power Rangers series, and we've yet to get that in any significant form. So I'm hoping that I'm told that there's some bonus content on the history of Power Rangers and Saban's original pitch for the series on the DVD set by the Shout Factory. Now, I haven't actually seen that because I don't have the $600 for it yet, or however much it is today. And nobody's actually posted it online to my knowledge for, I guess, copyright reasons or whatever. But I'm hoping that when I eventually do get the Legacy Collection, that I get to see those bonus materials, and maybe they'll have some things in there for me. But I'm hoping also one day the Saban, Toei, Shout Factory, whoever, get wise and give us just content after content after content. And you know what? I want to see audio commentary in every single episode. I mean, they do audio commentary for every single episode of The Simpsons and South Park and King of the Hill, but they can't do audio commentary for every episode of Power Rangers. I'm sorry, I don't get that. Well, again, I think I've rambled on enough. I think I've made my point here. All I can go ahead and say is, well, hey, I want to know what you guys think. That's what I want to go ahead and know. What, are you guys interested in the production history of Power Rangers? Are you satisfied with what's out there? Do you just watch a show and then, don't care about why they made it? Because I think that's the important thing, is why they made it. And that's what I want to know. So, all right. So I'm done talking. Thank you guys for listening. Have a good evening, and the tavern is now closed.